Karen, what's your last name?
Body, Boddie.
Okay, everyone, we are live. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, like I had this morning, but that's all in the life of computers. So I am here with Karen, and she has this amazing book that is called "And Then You Go Shopping." I'm just going to read. First of all, you all know I am Dr. Jacqueline King, and I am the founder and CEO of Black Women Empowered. And we bring amazing people on to tell their story and to inspire, encourage, and uplift you. And being that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we brought this amazing young lady in. And I'm just going to read the back of your book, Karen. It says, challenging seasons are part of life, whether that season involves the loss of a loved one, illness, unemployment, or family crisis. Challenging seasons will come to us all. And author Karen B. will take you on her journey of experiencing her cancer diagnosis and how she had a crash course in faith and perseverance. And then you go shopping, shares words of hope, trust, faith, perseverance, courage, and peace to others who face life's challenges. That is so nice. So, Karen, tell me, what happened? How did you first find out that you had cancer?
I found my lump on a breast exam, and once I found the lump, I followed up with my primary care doctor, and from there I was referred over to my breast surgeon, and the biopsy, and the biopsy came back that it was in fact positive for breast cancer, and from there, that's when my shopping journey began.
I'm trying to figure out how did you tie those in? Was that like therapeutic?
Yes, a little bit. It was probably around I want to say, my second choice, because it seemed like, you have your diagnosis, you have to prepare, you have to do this for a test, you have to, because first, you have all these procedures so that they can stage it and see where you are. And it was like one day I forgot I had to get something. I don't even remember what I had to get. Oh, I remember. My port was placed kind of low. So I needed to get a shirt that I could easily open when it was time for me to get my treatment. So I had to go shopping for that. And it just seemed like I was just shopping for stuff. So then the idea came to me, hey, let me shop. I need to shop again for faith, hope, trust, perseverance, and courage. So that's how I kind of tied it all in. And that's, yes, it was therapeutic because that's what helped me to, I guess, manage the diagnosis as well as to move forward with it and not get stuck with the diagnosis.
So I can only imagine, first of all, getting that diagnosis. And so, what was your initial response?
My initial response was just, I guess, numbness. I had a history of what they call fibroadenomas, which is a doctor explained to me was the same as like fibroids, but except that it's in your breast tissue. So I had a history of lumps, and I always, I had several biopsies that were done, and that was even back even in my 20s was like my first one. So I was sort of like, okay. But then when my surgeon, who was familiar with me, I remember after he did that biopsy, he said, this is similar to your other ones, Karen. However, this one, what troubles me with this one is that the rate at which it has grown in addition to your age, because I was, older then. And he said, and that's pretty much, those were what his words were. And my mom is a breast cancer survivor as well, and I have another family member who who had breast cancer. So it ran in the family, plus I had that positive, that first line generation with it. So I kind of thought about that, and then after a while it was almost like it was like, yeah, I kind of know. I won't say I was expecting it to be positive, but it didn't surprise me, but I was still numb, because as my book said, my children, they were young. Um, it just, all of those thoughts that come to you at that time, am I going to live? Am I going to see them grown? All of that is what first hit me. And then I was like, wow.
Right. How old were your children at the time?
One was going into the fourth grade and the other one was going into the eighth grade. So I have two
How did
sons. They were 4 years apart.
how did you explain that to your family?
Well, a friend of mine, I called a friend of mine. She came over and then we went over and I told my mother and, we had prayer. And then we didn't tell the children until I had my treatment plan mapped out. And then that's when we sat them down and we, explained to them, what had happened. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer and some of the changes, that would be taking place. And again, especially for the one that was going to the fourth grade, kind of try to keep it really, you know, somewhat elementary. Pretty much I would be getting treatments. They were going to make me tired. I would not be able to do some of the things that I used to do for a while. And some of the things that they could do to help. So that's how it was explained. Also told them, my mother, was a breast cancer survivor, as well as their their paternal grandmother was a breast cancer survivor as well. So sort of tied them into it, just say, yes, I said, I plan to get through it.
How did they react?
They were quiet and, they were quiet. And then of course they're boys. So they tended to become very protective of me.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So then what came next? You had the treatments. What treatments did you have?
The decision was because the tumor was kind of large. Where my tumor was located, it was located very close to my chest wall.
Hmm.
So the decision was made. My plan was to have rounds of chemo first in order to shrink the tumor and then to remove the tumor and follow up with additional chemo as needed. So yes, I actually had 8 rounds of chemo. I initially had 4 rounds of chemo, and then I had a lumpectomy. And when the lumpectomy, they excised that lump at that time, and then it showed that the margins around that area though were not clear. So they went in and they did another lumpectomy and same results. So that was at that time they decided to go ahead and resume the chemo for the last 4 rounds. And then I, ended up with the mastectomy following that.
Did you have a single or double?
I just had the single one at that time. Yes.
So how did that play um, on your psyche? Because I mean, I know that it has to be very traumatic.
It was. I mean, the diagnosis, no, I can still remember. I still remember the day. I can still remember. I don't remember what I had on, but I just remember that time. And it's devastating. But I also, knowing that my mother survived, was a survivor, that also helped a lot because, that really, I just played into that a lot. And then when it was explained to me, when the doctor explained to me like the stages, I was a stage 2, but it was due to the size. It had not spread anywhere. So once I had received the news that it had not really spread anywhere, then that's what sort of that calmed me a little bit. So then at that point in time, it was a matter of, removing the tumor, getting the treatments, praying that the treatments would work, and following on from that. After the chemo, I had the surgery, and then I also had radiation. So that
And
pretty much was the
you were already a woman of faith, and this
yes.
kicked your faith up a notch or
Oh,
two.
a couple of notches, quite a few notches. Yeah. Because, and I think I mentioned it in the book, we all say we have faith. Oh, we say we do this. Oh, yes, 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 and this and that. But then when it hits you, that's when, you have that test. That is really your faith test. You know, and one of the things I know that helped me, I knew I had the diagnosis. I accepted it only from the standpoint that, okay, this is what I have, but I never really held on to it. Even though I received treatment, and it may sound a little weird, but I never really held on to that diagnosis like, oh, yeah, I have cancer, I have cancer. I would always say, they tell me I have cancer and I have to do this. And sometimes I would eventually, like, it got to the point where I could actually verbalize and say, yes, I'm a cancer survivor. And that's how I would always, refer to myself.
How long have you been a survivor now?
It's been 12 years.
Praise God.
Yes,
Praise
yes,
God.
praise God.
So,
Yes.
what did you do differently? I mean, because we actually have a doctor, Dr. Ajabadi, who is a holistic doctor. He's doing a 4-part series on breast cancer. Everything a Black woman needs to know about breast cancer. And so, what did you change after you got your diagnosis? Did you change anything?
Well, before my diagnosis, I was relatively, I won't say healthy, but I tried to live a healthy lifestyle. I was I was exercising. I was watching what I ate in terms of sodium intake. I tried to do vegetables versus other things, even though I have issues with like cookies and cakes. But but other than that, I tried to maintain somewhat of a healthy lifestyle. Going through the treatment, it was challenging because it's just I really didn't have an appetite, and I was one of the ones that was queasy all the time. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. But
And
after
did you go ahead. No, go
oh,
ahead.
I was just going to say, but afterwards, one of the thoughts, and I still try even today, I say, God gave me the gift of a second chance, and this is my temple. So I do try to maintain a lifestyle that is a healthier lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
challenging, but yeah.
that's I'm sure. So your main thing is was sweets.
Oh, it still is. Yeah. Cookies and cakes, cupcakes.
Yeah. See, I mine is starches, potatoes, and bread and stuff
Okay.
like that. That's my weakness. Okay, so one back, you said 12 years ago. So how have you been since then? No close calls. You check clear every year.
I well, I've had another close call, but that was like a year later. And when my first actually it was my first mammogram after I had gone through everything. And
Mm-hmm.
there was something that was detected, and I said I was taken into like the little principal's office. They had me sit there for a moment. Um, and then that's when the doctor actually came through, and he talked with me, and he says, I know you probably are like up on the ceiling right now. But he reassured me and said that what they saw really was not anything malignant. So it was benign. It was benign.
Well, that's a blessing. So what?
Yes.
So now you just have to do exams. You have to do mammograms every year. What happens now?
I do mammograms every year along with I get a clinical breast exam, and then I also do the self exams.
Okay, that's awesome. So
Blessing. So now you just have.
sorry about that.
Okay.
So people who are women who are, because I mean, it seems like it's more African American women are being diagnosed on a regular basis now. Um, so what encouragement can you give to, that woman that just got that diagnosis?
Just, not just, but, just really go draw back onto who it is that you are. I mean, you'll get through it. And, you'll have a treatment plan. And also, it's important to have a support group,
Mm-hmm.
whoever that may be, but it's very important to have support. Um, because it's just things that you don't even realize that you need. And you just and it's not even necessarily someone who's going to talk with you all the time. Sometimes you just need somebody to sit there with you. There's like the ministry of presence. I learned about the ministry of presence. Sometimes you just need somebody to sit and talk, or just to sit there and be with you.
Right,
Yeah.
and pray with you. That's the one thing that I love about BWE. I know you're newly introduced to us. We have a sisterhood network, blackwomenempowered.net, where the women join. It is a private network where you can go and you can ask questions. You can share your books, your blogs, your ministry, and that's the beauty of it. The women support each other. They encourage each other, and it's just a beautiful thing. So. Again, I encourage everyone that watches this to join the sisterhood at blackwomenempowered.net. And Miss Karen, you are definitely an inspiration. So let's talk about the book. So the book is really, I love the cover: hope,
Thank you.
trust, faith, courage, perseverance, and peace. Okay, go through each one of them.
Hope, your hope, not to despair. So again, it was how I found hope and the things that I found hope in. Um, Courage. Again, you have to have courage. Just finding that strength. And it's really more about finding that strength, persevering through whatever the challenge is. I had a couple of bumps along my road. There's and each road is going to be different, but whatever the road is, that again, you just have to persevere. You have to keep going. Um, there were times that I felt like, and I think I have it in the book, I felt like a truck had run me over,
Mm-hmm.
backed up, run me over again. But you just have to really, for me, I had to keep going, and that was my journey.
Exams, you
Um,
have to do mammograms every year. What happens now? Okay, I keep getting that echo. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
So yeah, so that's good. That's good information. So Miss Karen, how can they get the book? I see your website is www.authorkarenb.com. Is that correct?
Correct. That is my website.
And
It
can they get that? They can get that on get the book on your website.
Yes, they can go to my website and join my mailing list on the website as well, so they can be made aware of other readings or anything else I may be doing. But also on top of that, if persons go to my website and order from my website, they'll receive a personalized copy of my
Mm-hmm.
book. Um,
But they also can get it on Amazon. You
yes,
saying or
yes,
no?
they can get it on Amazon. It's available really on most of the other platforms, Books a Million, Amazon, Walmart.com, etc. But you'll just get the book. You won't get my autograph.
And that, yeah, a lot of people like to get that autograph copy. So if you want the autograph copy, you need to go to www.authorkarenb.com.
B.com.
And you
Yes.
also, she has Facebook page, Author KB, and an Instagram page at KJB4141. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. It's all a play on my initials.
Well, that's good, and we want to thank you for sharing your testimony. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience?
As you had mentioned, it seems to be prevalent in the African American community. And part of it, I'm hoping also, is that as the rate goes up, I'm hoping it's because more women are getting mammograms. That is one of the areas. There are several underserved, still tends to be an underserved population in terms of
Mhm.
getting mammograms and following through. So I would just encourage persons, again, continue to do your breast self exams, get checked, and follow up with your doctor. If you do get to know your breast. If there's anything that's abnormal, go ahead and report it to your doctor. There's been so many advances. And in advances in technology, since even I was diagnosed and went through, I know fear is a big factor, but again, it's something to be afraid of, but on the other hand, it's also treatable and you can get through it. Like I say, I had so many bumps along my road, but I use that as a testimony that I got through it. I am here, thank God. 12 years later, my sons are grown, and they're fairly independent. And that is a testimony in of itself. And I remember one time I was sharing with a young lady. She was afraid. She felt something different, and she was afraid to go to the doctor to follow up. And I was able to share with her that what I had gone through and my journey. And I said, and here I am. And I said, and you can do it too. And so fast forward, I saw her maybe a month later, and I was in a store and she's calling out to me. And I saw her and she said, I went to the doctor. She said everything was fine. I do have to follow up with my doctor every 3 months, but it wasn't cancer. So yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I found a lump too, and I had to have a 3D mammogram, and it was nothing. But yeah, if you find anything different, and it's funny because I went to my OBGYN and she felt it too, so
Mhm.
she ordered it right away. But when I went and got my mammogram, it was, it wasn't anything. So yeah, definitely do those self exams, follow up, get your mammograms. I think they're starting now. It used to be 40. Did they change it? Because I thought they might have changed it because the black women were getting at a younger rate. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but even with that, again, and now we're getting it, like you say, like you mentioned, we are getting it much younger. And that's why it's important to know your body. Anything unusual, follow up with your doctor. And
Mhm.
and you might have to fight, but go ahead. And there's also in terms of mammograms, there are different areas that offer low cost mammograms or even free mammograms. So whenever you see there's a screening in your area, you have different organizations that do free screening, partner with
Mhm.
hospitals and facilities to do those screenings. Go ahead. Cost should not be a factor. I know it sounds easy to say, oh yeah, get your mammogram, but
Mhm.
again, cost should really not be a factor because there are several. I know here in Maryland, there are several programs, there's several grants that are available. You also have your organizations that also provide the means for persons to get mammograms at no cost, as well as treatment too.
Absolutely. And I found a place in here in Indiana. They have a trailer, mobile mammograms, and they don't charge anything. As a matter of fact,
Right.
I was having breakfast and I saw it, and I went over and talked to the lady, and she was telling me, no, we don't charge anything. They park out in a grocery lot, and you can just walk up and go get a mammogram. So I
Right.
thought that was pretty nice, and I'm sure that there's others that are doing that. So
Yes.
there's always a will, and more importantly than anything, let your faith kick in,
Right.
because that's going to get you through everything. I say that all the time. Your faith.
Most definitely.
Um, I, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was stressed out over this and stressed out over that, and I told her, I said, well, are you a woman of faith or not? Because you can't do fear and faith. Fear and faith don't go together.
Exactly.
Um, whatever God's will is for your life, that's what it is. But you
Right.
either trust Him or you don't, or you don't,
Right.
and that's just the way it is. So
Yes.
I encourage everyone that's listening, stay connected with God, keep the faith. And Miss Karen, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
time today. Go out and get that book.
Yes,
It's going to
please,
be
please.
a blessing to you. It's going to be a blessing, encouragement, and an inspiration. So, Miss Karen, thanks a lot. We thank everyone for tuning in. And all the queens, go over to blackwomenempower.net, join the sisterhood. And Miss Karen, I want to see you over there too.
I'm coming. Thank you.
All right. God bless.
All right. God bless. Thank you.